Iran launched a fresh wave of missiles at U.S. military targets across the Middle East as the conflict entered another dangerous phase. Multiple missile launches were reported from different parts of Iran, signaling a broad escalation in the regional confrontation. Kuwait said its air defenses engaged hostile Iranian drones after detecting multiple aerial threats entering its airspace. Statement by General Staff of Kuwaiti Armed Forces said, and I quote, "Kuwaiti air defenses are currently confronting attacks by hostile drones, following the sinful Iranian aggression. The General Staff of the Army notes that any explosion sounds heard are the result of air defense systems intercepting the hostile attacks. Everyone is requested to adhere to the security and safety instructions issued by the competent authorities." Unquote. Bahrain activated air raid sirens and urged residents to seek shelter as regional missile threats intensified. The U.S. Embassy warned that central Manama could face potential threats as security conditions rapidly deteriorated. Statement by U.S. Embassy in Bahrain said, and I quote, "The U.S. Embassy has information to suggest that Iran may seek to target unspecified locations in central Manama. We urge all Americans to remain vigilant, follow local authorities' instructions, and review the latest guidance from the U.S. Embassy." Unquote. The IRGC claimed responsibility for a second attack targeting the U.S. military base at Al-Tanf in southeastern Syria. Iranian-linked reports said the latest operation struck a U.S. Special Operations Command Center in what they described as a surprise attack. The IRGC claimed it launched missile strikes targeting U.S. military aircraft at Jordan's Al-Azraq Air Base during its latest operation. The IRGC said the missile attack inflicted what it described as severe damage on several American military assets at the base. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claimed local Jordanian sources provided intelligence that helped identify U.S. military targets. The IRGC claimed its strikes destroyed 20 hangars used by U.S. forces at Al-Azraq Air Base in Jordan. Iran also claimed the attack damaged U.S. C-17 military transport aircraft and P-8 maritime surveillance aircraft stationed at the base. Iran's latest missile campaign came as the United States carried out a 9th consecutive night of strikes on Iranian targets. Statement by CENTCOM said, and I quote, "CENTCOM began conducting a new wave of strikes against Iran at 7 p.m. Eastern Time today for the 9th consecutive night. The strikes will continue degrading Iranian military capabilities used to attack commercial vessels and civilian mariners transiting the Strait of Hormuz." Unquote. Statement by CENTCOM said, and I quote, "U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, successfully completed the 9th consecutive evening of strikes against Iran, July 19th, at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. CENTCOM assets targeted Iranian military command centers, air defense and coastal surveillance sites, maritime capabilities, missile and drone launch sites, and communications networks to further diminish Iran's ability to attack commercial vessels and civilian mariners transiting the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. military is holding Iran accountable at the Commander-in-Chief's direction. CENTCOM forces remain highly vigilant, focused, lethal, and ready." Unquote. Explosions were reported across southern Iran and around the northwestern city of Tabriz during the latest round of attacks. Chabahar, Konarak, and Mahahar were among the locations reportedly hit in the newest wave of American strikes. President Trump said the United States had struck Iran very hard again tonight as operations continued. Trump said the latest military action honored American service members killed during the conflict.
Well, we feel very badly, but those great people, those great patriots were out there fighting that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Iran has been very, very badly damaged. They've lost everything almost militarily. They've got very little left. They've got some missiles. They've got some drones. They've got some manufacturing ability, not much. We control the strait. They don't control anything. So we'll see what happens. But we hit them very hard again tonight. And we did that in honor of the probably three as opposed to two great patriots. This is a far bigger job that we're doing. We were doing a little job in stopping them from having a certain capability. Now we're just ending it. So it's really not the same thing. What we're doing now is we're ending any chance where they could have a nuclear missile. If you look at it, after a week and a half, not 4 weeks, a week and a half, 2 weeks, we stopped them from probably, but I don't want to have the word probably.
CENTCOM said U.S. naval forces redirected 6 vessels while enforcing its maritime blockade operations against Iran. U.S. officials said another vessel was disabled as Washington tightened its naval blockade campaign. CENTCOM confirmed unidentified human remains were recovered following Iran's missile strike on a U.S. position in Jordan. The discovery came days after 2 U.S. service members were killed in the July 17 attack. CENTCOM also confirmed a U.S. service member was killed in northern Iraq on July 18. The U.S. military said the service member died during the detonation of captured Iranian drone ordnance. A second U.S. service member was wounded in the same incident and continues to receive medical treatment. Iran-aligned Iraqi armed groups threaten fresh attacks on U.S. bases if Washington expands the war. The Islamic resistance in Iraq vowed to strike American interests with full force if the conflict widens further. The latest escalation comes as a senior aide to Mujtaba Khamenei outlined how Iran adapted its strategy to counter Trump's wartime tactics.
I came to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from there, and for about 3 days, we were completely cut off from everything. We were only trying to find out who was alive and who had been martyred. I didn't even have definitive news about the president. Of course, news arrived that day that he had not been martyred, but we had no communication. I saw the president for the first time 3 days after the start of the war. I perhaps saw Mr. Larijani 5 days later, and the first meeting took place 6 days later in a secure location, where 3 of the members of that meeting were later martyred. It was set what we should do with a certain Islamic republic, saying we will do this and that, we will build this and that. I told them there that our enrichment is not for sale. This is something the people of Iran for 20 years have endured. Iran emerged stronger from this war. This is their own expression. Iran astonished the world. Iran showed its real power. They say, we just realized that your atomic bomb is the Strait of Hormuz. We have been looking for something else until now. The world has realized that Iran is strong.